This week marks exactly a year since I posted my first ever video to YouTube, and today we're going to completely reinvent the first ever coffee cocktail I shared on the channel, which is the Coffee Junglebird. We're going to level it up using some of my favourite techniques and ingredients, and I'll show you exactly how you can transform and elevate drinks while staying true to the original identity of the drink. I'll also be sharing 2 bits of very exciting news with you, so stay tuned for those. So now, let's make the Coffee Junglebird 2.0. Let's make some coffee cocktails. Alright, welcome back to the Coffee Cocktail channel, everyone. I'm Dan Fellows, and if this is your first time here, welcome along. Thank you for being here. So this is all about coffee and cocktails and bringing the two together in kind of interesting and creative ways. And if that sounds interesting to you, or if you've been here before and found value in the content, it would be an amazing time if you could now subscribe to the channel, because it really does make a lot of difference. And if you want to click that like button if you like the content, once again, very, very valuable to us creators. So thank you very much. So the first cause for celebration is that we've been making coffee cocktails on this channel for a year, which is very exciting. And I can't explain how thankful I am for you guys for making this so incredible and such an amazing journey so far. And that's all down to you guys. So thank you for viewing the videos. Thank you for making the drinks. Thank you for giving me such incredible feedback and such positive feedback. It really does mean a huge amount. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the following year because we've got lots more exciting stuff lined up. And on that note, we have 2 bits of exciting news. So first of all, you might not know this, you may know this, but my fiance Emma and I, hey Ems, are actually expecting a baby in March. So we're very excited. We've got a little boy who's going to be 3 by then, and we actually make these videos either at night time or in the mornings when our little boy's at nursery. So we're committed to staying doing this, and wish us luck. We'll find a way to do it. We're going to have a little girl in March, so we're very excited. And in completely unrelated news, my Patreon is now completely up and running. So as a patron, you'll be able to get early access to content, to kind of influence the content through polls and Q&As. You'll get to know everything you need for the drinks before the videos come out. So it's very exciting, and I'll also be giving away a lot of stuff, coffee cocktail kind of tools and ingredients and that kind of thing to my patrons. So hopefully I'll be giving lots of value back to you. So whether you do or you don't, thank you for being here regardless. And that's our exciting news. So we've been here for a year. We're going to be here for many more. We're having a baby, and Patreon is live. So now let's start making some drinks. So in case you never saw that first ever video deep in the archives, we're going to quickly make the Coffee Junglebird 1.0, the OG Coffee Junglebird, which is inspired by the kind of aperitif quintessential cocktail, which is the Junglebird. So it's a delicious riff on that original Junglebird, and it starts with a tin. We're going to go 40 ml of Gosling's Black Seal rum for those kind of rich molasses flavors, lots of kind of sweet, rummy, funky goodness. We're going to go 15 ml of Campari, which takes it into that kind of aperitif kind of vibe. So aperitif being aperitif and tiki kind of mixed together. So this is our kind of bitter sweet element, 15 ml. Sticking to our 15 ml, we're going to go with freshly squeezed lime juice for our kind of acidity. And I've just squeezed this just before filming, so very fresh. And you want to do this on the day of making the drink ideally, but you can batch up as much as you like. And then again, 15 ml of coffee saccharum. So this was actually the second video I ever shared, and this is the kind of liqueur style coffee saccharum. So this is made by infusing 200 grams of espresso pucks into 200 grams of light muscovado sugar, allowing that to kind of become a slurry, adding 200 grams of rum to this one, and then 400 grams of filter coffee, and you're left with this kind of alternative to coffee liqueur, which is zero waste. Super delicious, and it's one of my favorite ingredients to use. We're going to go 40 ml of good quality pineapple juice, which will again be the kind of tiki side of aperitif, giving it those kind of tropical vibes and also a really nice foam on top of the drink. And then we're going to season the drink with 1 gram of saline solution. So this has been in a lot of my recipes, and it just kind of bridges everything together without bringing a flavor of salt to the drink. And now we're going to give this a really good hard shake over lots of ice to get it nice and fluffy and delicious. And then the original Junglebird calls for crushed ice, but we're actually going to serve this straight up. And the reason for that is we don't want to get the kind of bits of crushed ice in our teeth, nor to drink this through a straw, which would defeat the object of having the really nice foamy texture. So I'm going to serve this in a coupe glass. So here's my extremely cold coupe glass. We're going to fine strain this in there, and there's no real need for a garnish because it's super delicious and has a really nice texture. So this is the OG Coffee Junglebird 1.0. Fluffy, delicious, but a very simple riff on a classic cocktail, which we're now going to riff quite heavily on. But in the meantime, let's give it a little taste. So, to everyone watching, cheers, thanks for being here. I really do appreciate you. It's very tasty. It stays very true to the original. You got loads of the black rum coming through, kind of leathery. You got some tartness, some almost like pomegranate notes coming through, I think from the Campari, combining with the pineapple. You've got the pineapple coming through, citrus, coffee. It's delicious, but it does stay very true to that original Junglebird formula and kind of flavor profile. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this, we're gonna elevate it, create something a little bit more technical, a little bit more kind of involved, but it's completely worth it. And it's also got some kind of throwbacks to the original Junglebird, which we're gonna play with as well. So that's the Coffee Junglebird original recipe. Let's make the Coffee Junglebird 2.0. So now we're acquainted with the Coffee Junglebird and the kind of original Junglebird, which replaces the coffee saccharin with just a sugar syrup. We're going to make the Coffee Junglebird 2.0. And I'm going to kind of talk you through each ingredient and how we can take it to the next level to create something completely different while sticking true to the DNA of the original drink. So before we had our kind of very dark rum, the Gosling's Black Seal, what we're going to do now is transform the whole drink to be much lighter in terms of color and also in terms of flavor. We're also going to use a technique called fat washing for our rum. So we're going to go with white rum, and I'm actually going to use coconut oil in order to fat wash our rum. So I made a video about fat washing, which I'll link here. And essentially what we're doing is infusing fat into the spirit and then removing it so that the flavor remains, but none of the kind of fattiness stays in the drink. So I tend to work to a 1:3 kind of ratio. So I've already weighed out 50 grams of coconut oil. So now I'm going to put this on a kind of low heat just to kind of melt the oil. And then once that melts, we can add the rum. So now that's fully melted, we can start mixing this with the rum. So as I said before we were going with our kind of dark rum, now we're going to go with a much lighter rum, but this does have plenty of depth of flavor. So this is Diplomatico Planas, and white rum, light rum is a little bit of a confusing term. So this is actually an aged rum, which is then charcoal filtered to remove the color, but it still has loads of kind of depth of flavor, which is kind of surprising. So it's a very delicious rum, and we're just going to kind of bump this up. It already has a little bit of kind of coconut flavor in there, but we're going to take that to the next level using our coconut oil. So I'm going to weigh out 150 grams of our Diplomatico Planas because we did 50 grams of the coconut oil, and I like that 1:3 ratio. If you want more of the kind of coconut flavor and fattiness in there, you could maybe do a 1:2 of fat to spirit. Or if you wanted a little bit less, you can bring it down afterwards. But 1:3 is a really good starting point, and it tends to work most of the time. And then this is all about kind of really building up that amazing texture. So into our melted fat, we're going to go with our rum. And just to make sure that's fully mixed together, give it a little swirl. And then we're going to pass this back into the glass very carefully, like so. Then we want to leave this for around about 12 to 24 hours to infuse, after which you want to pop it in the freezer until it's fully frozen, and you'll be left with something that looks like this. So this is our kind of coconut oil infused rum, and as you can see, the coconut oil has completely frozen, whereas the rum has stayed in its liquid form because it doesn't freeze at the temperature of a domestic freezer. And what we're going to do is just poke a little hole into the fat to make sure we can get all of the liquid out. And you want to do this quite quickly so we don't have the fat melting, and then just strain this through a kind of fine sieve, and essentially we'll get all of the delicious coconut flavor, some really nice kind of fattiness in a good way, not in a bad way, in the rum without any of that kind of slick actual fat in there. So this is our first ingredient. This is our coconut oil infused rum, and this is all about texture. You'll be left with this little puck of coconut oil, which you can use for cooking. You can use it for all manner of things where you'd use coconut oil anyway. Just bear in mind, some of the flavor will be out of it, but still super useful. Do not get rid of this. So again, we're going to build this in a shaker, and we're going to start with 40 mils of our delicious coconut oil fat washed rum. And like I say, what we're going to do here is really try and kind of elevate the texture of the drink and bring it to the next level. So the Coffee Junglebird 1.0 had delicious texture. This is going to take it up even further. So 40 mils of that. And then rather than Campari, we're going to go with Sousa. So again, as I said before, we're trying to make this into a kind of light coloured, slightly different kind of intensity drink. And 20 mils of Sousa is a really good substitute. So Sousa is a gentian-based liqueur, often used in a white Negroni, which we're kind of taking some inspiration from here. And it's got a much lighter colour, it's got some kind of bitterness, but also a lot of kind of herbal notes in there. And then we need our kind of sweet and sour elements. So once again, I'm actually going to stick with lime juice because I think it works really well. So 10 mils of that, freshly squeezed. And then in terms of this sweetener, we're not going to use coffee at this stage, we're going to use it a little bit later. I'm just going to go for a slightly different flavour in terms of the syrup we're using, which is coconut syrup. And the reason for using coconut in this drink is multifold. Coconut famously works with rum, coconut works with kind of bitter notes, coconut works with lime, coconut works with pineapple, which we're going to add later, and coconut works really well with coffee, which we're also going to add later. So this is a kind of bridging ingredient, and it brings the balance to the lime juice. And I'm using Monin syrup because this is a really good coconut syrup which you can buy off the shelf, and it just brings a little bit of complexity. So this is our base. Now we need to add some kind of seasonings and flavourings to the drink to really take it from a great drink to the next level again. So I always add salt to my drinks, and this is no exception. So we're going to go 0.8 grams of saline solution at that 1:5 ratio once again. And the reason this is a little bit less than normal is because we've actually got a little bit of salt in our final ingredient, which we'll come to in a minute. And then to bridge everything together, I really like to add flavourings to this, which sit below the kind of flavour perception threshold, but kind of elevate the drink without you really knowing they're there. And one of my favourite ingredients for this is vanilla extract. So I'm only going to add 0.2 grams. And the reason vanilla's here, kind of like the coconut, is it just ties everything together really, really well. So when we think of vanilla, it works with rum, it works with Sousa, it works with lime, it works with coconut, it works with pineapple, which we're going to add at the end, it works with coffee, famously. And this just brings everything together, doesn't taste like vanilla, but just adds another layer of complexity to the drink. So now this is ready to go. We need to give it a really hard shake over ice to get it chilled down and ready to serve. We want to get lots of kind of good texture in there, and shaking the drink does a very good job of that. So here we go again. So because I'm going to be serving the drink over ice, I don't want to shake it for too long. I just want to kind of chill it, mix it, get a little bit of dilution, but then we're going to add a little bit more in a second. So as a little bit of a throwback to the original Coffee Junglebird, we're going to serve this over crushed ice. So the reason for not serving the original Coffee Junglebird over ice is because I didn't want the ice to kind of catch your lips when you're drinking that really nice kind of foamy texture. And also I didn't want to serve it with a straw, which you'd need to for crushed ice, because you'd lose the kind of really delicious foaminess from the drink. But because we're going to be actually making this a little bit sparkling and a little bit longer, I want to serve it over really nice kind of crushed ice. Staying true to the original recipe, and it's going to be sipped through a straw. So we're going to fine strain this over our crushed ice. And then we're going to top this up with a double fermented coffee tepache. So obviously we want a little bit more crushed ice, and I bought this nifty little ice crusher here, which I was going to show you how it works because I thought it was quite good value. This was like 20 quid off Amazon. You can add your cubes sort of one at a time, and it's essentially a manual ice crusher. And although it feels like it's going to break whenever you use it, so far it hasn't broken, and I've used it quite a lot. So let's crush a little bit more ice. I recommend doing these 1 cube at a time. And then we're just going to top up our crushed ice. So if you want to learn how to make the original coffee tepache, I'll link the video just up here. But essentially what we've got is a fermented soft drink made with leftover coffee, leftover pineapple pieces, cinnamon, light muscovado sugar and salt. And I'm adding this to the drink in place of the pineapple juice. So the original recipe called for a kind of fermented drink, but actually what this is a second fermented coffee tepache. What we've done here is we've taken the original coffee tepache and added a secondary fermentation in the bottle. So once it was fermented and strained, I popped it in the bottle and left it on the kitchen counter, covered with a tea towel to avoid any explosions, and this lid pops off upwards, like so. rather than smashing the bottle, so you don't want a fully sealed bottle. And this secondary fermentation in the bottle developed the CO2 in there and made it a really nice kind of sparkling soft drink. Really, really delicious. Just want to give this a little stir together to make sure we get the distribution of the tepache all through the drink. This is really good quality crushed ice as well, so fair play to Amazon on that one. We're going to top it up with a little bit more, just the right amount. Add a straw to this, and then garnish wise, we're going to go with a little bit of dried pineapple and fresh mint. And there we have the Coffee Junglebird 2.0. It's a celebration of a year on YouTube and many, many more. Also having a baby, which is very exciting, and also launching Patreon. So thank you so much for being here and all the amazing support we've had so far. So from the bottom of my heart, cheers. It's so tasty. It's kind of got vibes of a jungle bird, obviously, which is what we're kind of basing the whole drink on. A little bit of mint on the nose brings that kind of subtle mojito, tropical characteristic. We've also got lots of tropical notes from the kind of pina colada combination of pineapple, rum, coconut. Also got a kind of Negroni thing going on, kind of a white Negroni with the Sousa. Everything comes together really nicely. Got the delicate coffee notes from the tepache and the kind of fermented notes. And it's a very, very delicious drink, and I'm really proud of it. So to level up the drink, we've taken the rum from a dark rum up to a kind of coconut oil infused white rum. We've gone 40 mils of that. We've taken the Campari and switched it up to 20 mils of Sousa to make it kind of this really kind of nice color and also a little bit more delicate. We've kept in 10 mils of lime juice, 10 mils of coconut syrup to kind of tie in with all the other flavors in there. We've got 0.8 grams of saline solution. We've got 0.2 grams of vanilla extract. Shaken it all up, served over crushed ice, and topped up with double fermented coffee tepache. And if you want to learn how to make coffee tepache, I will leave the video just here. And then we're going to do a second fermentation on that where you leave it in the bottle for 3 to 5 days until it gets lightly sparkling. We've also got the kind of seasoning approach to this cocktail, which I'll leave here because we've added salt, we've added the kind of vanilla extract, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I've definitely enjoyed creating this drink. So if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can click here, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you for being here. Cheers, everyone.